Hi, my name is Jay Sugarman, and I want to welcome you to Innovation Showcase. The main purpose of this ongoing series is to inform viewers about exciting innovations and creative individuals across the fields of business, science, technology, education, and the arts. Today, via Zoom, we're fortunate to have as our guests Ken Granderson and Dale Dowdy. Ken and Dale are the founders of blackface.com, an extensive platform for information about Black history and culture. Ken serves as the Chief Technology Officer and Dale as the CEO. During the program, we're finding out why and how blackface.com came about and how it's grown, developed, and operates today. We'll go on a behind-the-scenes tour and in the process come to better understand and appreciate the breadth and depth of the site's resources and information. Let's start by meeting Ken and Dale and then finding out all about blackface.com. Welcome. So delighted you're both able to be here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're excited to be part of this.
Absolutely.
As a former educator, I just have to start off by saying how much I appreciate and admire what you've assembled and how much I've learned by visiting it a number of times these past few weeks and look forward to going back myself on many other occasions. And before we hear a little bit about the history and have you inform viewers as well, I think it would be of interest just to hear briefly a little bit about each of your backgrounds and professional interests. Dale, would you please start?
Sure. Hello, my name is Dale Dowdy, and I am the CEO of blackface.com. My background is I'm actually an immigrant. I'm from Jamaica, and I went to school in Maryland, and I was a hacker while I was in high school. I ended up working for NASA at Goddard Space Flight Center when I was still in high school because my computer teacher thought that there must be something that I could do that wasn't causing trouble. We ended up working on predictive modeling. All those storm tracking systems that you see today, we actually wrote the original code for all of that software. And then I went to Boston University, where I started my first company. And I met Ken Granderson while I was at Boston University. He was at MIT at the time. And, we have actually continued to work together on various technology projects over the years. I started at my second company after college, Intelitech Consulting Enterprises. And I've done so many consulting jobs and projects for various companies, but one of the interesting community outreach projects was blackface.com, which was not intended as a business, but just as a way of, giving back to the community. And Ken can tell you a little bit about that, and we will go into the background story of blackface.com. But I'm still here doing tech consulting, business, disaster recovery planning and such, and we're excited to be here and share the story of Blackface.
Wonderful, wonderful. Ken, a little bit about yourself, please.
Sure. My name is Ken Granderson, and I'm was born and raised in Brooklyn in a neighborhood formerly known as Do or Die Bed-Stuy. I did well enough in math and science to end up at that little engineering school down the street from Harvard, as Dale had mentioned, and actually wanted to do computers, but we couldn't afford computers, so I got into stereo, hi-fi, DJing. That's how Dale and I met. But then in the maybe several years after I graduated, reconnected with the desire to do programming, taught myself how to program, found myself in a position where I was able to leave my mainstream job, and that changed my mindset forever in recognizing the incredible opportunity that technology presented for folks who everybody was starting off at the same point, no matter what your background was, because the technology did not know or care who was behind it. It just did whatever it was programmed to do. And so my quote, one job since then has been to promote in every way I can the idea that technology is the most empowering opportunity for people from all kinds of backgrounds, but as a Black American, as someone who grew up in a low to moderate income community, our primary focus has been focusing on the Black community. So I'll fill in some details in the slides, but yes. That's me.
Terrific. I know you mentioned slides, which is going to help tell the story of the origins and development. And why don't we segue to that and hear how your collaboration initially started and the incredible way it's grown and developed over the years.
As I'd mentioned, I taught myself how to code back in 1992, put out some programs that got in a book that was in CompUSA and stuff and all over the country. And that enabled me to get 2,000 registered users of what I was asking $20 for. So I was able to leave my job. I was working on University Ave at Phoenix Technology out in Norwood, and ended up making as much from my quote side hustle as my main business. So I left and promoted the idea of, hey, software, there's brains in the hood, so to say, with Inner City Software, which was euphemism for Black software company. Because I was experiencing the ability to sort of chart my own course and realize that this computer thing was going to be critical for folks coming up to find out about, here's something that happened back in 1995.
February is Black History Month, and today Red Sox All-Star first baseman Mo Vaughn and the Boston Public Library unveiled a new CD-ROM, one guaranteed to enrich and inspire the lives of all children and adults. News Center 5's Pam Cross reports.
The wooden golf tee was invented by a Black Bostonian. I didn't know that before I worked on the product.
It looks like a computer game, but surprise, this is a history lesson. Boston's Black history, to be specific. The creators, Inner City Software, took this 1992 book, authored by Robert Hayden, and transformed it to CD-ROM.
I call them the MTV generation. Books aren't really cool. Books aren't that popular. After, playing with the program a little, they might, go down to the library and actually get the book and look at that too.
You can find the program at some Boston Library branches and at a few Shawmut Bank locations. They kicked in the funds. This is the Mo Vaughn Community Youth Center.
This shows other prominent, Black figures in this community that aren't athletes, that are just people who go out and do a good job at what they do.
I like that it teaches you a lot of things that I can't find in my history book in school. Like, it shows me a lot of things that I won't find in the history book.
Touch screens are also in use at the Children's Museum. Vision Computers donated these units, but any school already equipped with computers can share the wealth.
Inner City Software is giving them to any school in the metropolitan Boston area that can run the software. In any youth center or program.
African American history as close as a keystroke. The facts are the same, but now they're available at the touch of a button. In Dorchester, I'm Pam Cross, News Center 5.
So now, the way that things happen, despite the 350 Years program being displayed at the Boston Public Library, Children's Museum, in some news and local TV, and even at the Schomburg Center for Research in Black Culture in Harlem, CDs cost $4.50 a piece at the time, and because we didn't have a whole lot of money, we said we would give them to any school that had them, but the schools in the Black communities, any schools that could run them. Schools in the Black communities did not have CD-ROM capable computers if they had computers at all. And so after trying to work with the school system for a couple of years, it never ended up getting into the school system. So the next year, as it became clear that the internet was going to be a game-changing opportunity, not just for tech people, but for everyone, I found all the Black tech folks I knew, including Dale. So those are pictures of a younger Dale and a younger Ken. And the first project that we worked on together in terms of what we're calling diversity technology solutions, we called Inner City Access. We got some young folks, graffiti artist folks, to create some graphics, and we built websites for Roxbury, Dorchester, and Mattapan. Because of some folks out at the Microsoft office in Waltham who found out what we were doing and actually helped us by cutting the price of the program we used to make the web pages, I ended up becoming what's called the most valued professional at Microsoft, probably the first Black MVP. And that gave me access to some of their tools, like their database system that I then used to create Black Facts Online in 1997. At this 1997 was the year that non-nerds and techies started paying attention to the internet a lot more. And the initial purpose of Black Facts, as Dale mentioned, it wasn't a business. It was to try and make sure that when people from the Black community got online, they saw themselves reflected on this brand new thing called the internet. I started doing tech. I was the tech resource in Roxbury, Dorchester, Mattapan, including putting on the empowerment zones, all the empowerment zone businesses online. And so when Vice President Al Gore, that was his pet project, came to town, we had a chance to get a little photo op with him, which was kind of cool. But this was a business directory listing of mostly small minority businesses in the Boston area back in '99. In 2002, we took it to another level with Roxbury.com, which is a full-featured online community with the kinds of services that preceded sites like Eventbrite and Yelp and Yahoo Groups by, in some cases, as many as like 4 years. So I'm just going to show you some of the screens of Roxbury.com. This was the home page. We had local news, came from the Bay State Banner, which we put online in 2001 with an online newspaper publishing system. These were events. We would have Thursday night training sessions at the Freedom House in Dorchester, where people from community organizations can come with their flyers, create accounts, and post their events, like this event. We had the business directory. Some folks may remember Bob the Chef's restaurant, but we had business directory listings. And this was, again, 2 years before Yelp existed. Today, they'd be called blogs, but we had sections for things like real estate education, we called community experts. And our, quote, community forums were a web-based version of an email list that was 6,000 members strong that I ran since 1996 called Boston Blacks Online. So this is what Roxbury's online presence looked like in 2002, which is close to 20 years ago. So the industry changed in ways that I actually ended up shutting down Inner City Software a couple of years later. But Black Facts kept running on its own on autopilot. And every year, Dale and I, who we also worked on multiple tech projects together over time, we would say, near the end of every year, what are we going to do for Black History Month? In 2017, we said, we're going to do this for real. We're going to take this to another level. And so we rebooted Black Facts with a new look, new platform, new technology, and new big, hairy, audacious goals far in excess than, hey, Black people, you're online too, which was the original idea. So I'm going to hand this over to Dale.
So the blackfacts.com core business model is based upon the idea of us using bots and our aggregation engine to pull in content from around the internet and then organize it within our site. But we also wanted to allow our content to leverage what they call crowdsourcing, which means we allow consumers and people that we work with to be able to put in their historical facts and feed it into our system. Then on blackfacts.com, we have premium membership, we have virtual sites, we have fact widgets, which are actual plugins that you can put on any website, and our content will be displayed on your website. And then the outside of it, of course, is, as we push the content out, whether you're on a mobile site or web page, we basically want to be able to push content to schools and associations. Because so many educators are using our platform, we want to make sure it's available to them, and being able to push Black history out there across all those platforms is very important for us. Next slide. So how do we do that, right? We have, bots that crawl the web and do aggregation of Black history content from sites that we trust. So we don't want to get any, what the term today is fake news. We want to actually grab, museum sites and other Black historical sites and make sure we pull in that content. We also want to use academics and griots, which are Black storytellers, it's a term for Black storytellers, to actually feed our content, and then we pull it all into our system. Doesn't matter the source, even voice files, video files, Word documents, your personal bio, all of that, we actually collect that information, and then we aggregate that information and process it with our backend system. Next slide. What is the backend system? Well, we use a combination of AI and a content management system where all the content that comes in from whatever the source is gets assessed for the people, places, dates, and then gets cross-referenced with any other content in our site. Whether that content is another historical fact or a news article, it all gets cross-referenced, and that is part of the secret sauce that makes our site so immersive. Because once you click on one particular fact in Black history, you find out that there are related facts that are associated with that, or there's a news story that just came about that particular topic. And that's what makes blackfacts.com one of the stickiest sites on the web. And by sticky, that means that people typically visit a website for 90 seconds if it's a site that they know. That's according to Google. And if they do a search for a website, they're usually on there for about 36 seconds. On blackfacts.com, the average visitor is 4 minutes and 29 seconds. So people actually get on the site, get excited about what they're finding, and then delve in deeper, which is part of the goal if you want people to learn more about Black history and Black culture. Next slide. What we've done is now we began delivering diversity technology everywhere. And we've used our content that we have and that we've gathered and begin to say, well, how do we make this available to the masses? As I mentioned before, we talked about the widgets that we deliver, but we actually began introducing videos this year. Every day of the year, if you go to Black Facts, you will get a unique Black history video for that day. And once we began to do videos, we found that our viewership and retention jumped by 60% because people were really excited about it. And we had no idea. We have always served up Black history facts. And it was this past December, as part of a project for Kwanzaa, that we said, hey, we want to educate people on Kwanzaa. Let's create a series of videos. That then turned into the Black Facts Minute, which is a unique Black history video for every single day of the year. We actually, for Women's History Month, if you go to Black Facts right now, and for Women's History Month, we have a video every single day for inspiring women of color that you may not know about. And so we actually want to push that content and make it available. So we use our widget technology to be able to say, if you subscribe from our site to our widgets, you can plug it into your site, and now you'll get either a Black history fact, you'll get diversity news, whether it's about people of color, LGBT, implicit bias, Latino, Asian, whatever type of content we can customize and push out to you is available through our widgets. And of course, any of the custom videos that we're creating. And just this week, we've introduced the Black Facts podcast, which is something that we found to be in demand, but we didn't know about it. We have a whole network of urban radio stations that use our widget today and get Black history on their website every single day, because Black history is not just in February. But those radio stations would always ask us, well, do you have audio files for this? Because we'd love to play it as part of the morning drive or whatever else, and we've never had that. But now that we've introduced our podcast, those radio stations can now subscribe to that and be able to play back our podcasts as an audio file. And so we're excited about being a diversity content delivery source for anyone that's interested in consuming and presenting diversity content to their audience. Next slide. So when Ken talked about the big, hairy, audacious goal, one of Black Facts' mission is actually to create technology to uplift the race. And what we mean by that is that we want to leverage technology. We've been nerds since the dawn of time, as you can see by the Methuselah beard. But we know that people of color are being passed by. All communities of color, not just Black folks, are being passed by this technology revolution. they're missing the opportunity. And some of that may be just because they don't have internet access, or broadband local available. But a lot of that is that they don't know how to leverage the technology to empower their business. So we have this idea that we call the Wakanda Technology Initiative. And that idea is to say, gee, if we could be like the Wakandans in the movie The Black Panther, and what they did was they protected their culture with superior technology. Since we are nerds and technologists, we said, could we build a business framework that we can make available on a subscription basis that starts off at freemium, hey, you get the basic stuff for free. Can we begin standing up urban communities around the country and hopefully around the globe using our technology as the foundation? We're already running a pilot program with NYU. We're hoping to expand that to the HBCU communities and then spread it down to high schools where they can begin standing up their local communities, but using the Wakanda technology framework so that the businesses don't have to understand technology. They just have to know, hey, we exist. Because if you are not on the internet today, and if you're not searchable in a smartphone, then you might not exist. The millennial culture will walk right by a store that could give them everything they wanted, but it doesn't show up on their phone, so it doesn't exist. We want to change that so that the urban communities that are predominantly people of color get a chance to actually participate in this technology revolution, which is what our mission was back in 1997, and it now has extended to today. So that's what Black Facts is all about. We really have built, even though we started with Black history and we've extended that to Black news, we have built what we believe is a platform to help us empower our community and other communities of color using the technology that we've built. And we're excited to begin to share that with your audience. And if they explore blackfacts.com, they can go to blackfacts.com/about to see videos that talk about the products and services that we have. Coming soon, we're going to be having Wakanda University, which is going to be online classes and workforce improvement. We're looking at building a Black business directory, but always leveraging the platform and pushing that out to our community as a way of saying, hey, we're here and we can help you advance your business and understand how technology can improve your quality of life in general.
Wow. Well, both of you are true pioneers in the technology field, and the genius behind the way the site's recently come on board, updated, and continues to grow. It's fascinating to hear some of your secret sauce, and really appreciate you sharing it with us. When you look back to when you first started this mission, what are some of your thoughts and reflections to where you are now?
Well, for myself, I almost regret that we didn't focus more on Black Facts, from the very beginning. As Ken said, we stood it up and it was just running in the background, stick it on the server and keep it going. And we feel like, as we've watched technology evolve, and it really has changed. Once upon a time, you could create a product with technology and sell it and make money. That's how Ken's story started. Today, companies grow by giving stuff away for free. But what they do is they turn the people into the product. So your information and who you are becomes the product. And that's unfortunate. And that's something that we've seen as a change. But we're excited because we feel like we have a unique demographic that we're focused on. And we have something that is more and more relevant with the social justice movement, with the get out the vote movements. All of these things we think are even more relevant today than they have been in the past. And so we feel like maybe the time is right for people to understand that, that the facts are important and trusted information is important. And understanding that, what did that young man say? There are things that I learned that aren't in our history books. Well, they don't even teach civics anymore. So you shouldn't be surprised when our government gets overrun by people who don't really understand how our government really is run. And anyone can tell them anything because you never learned that in school anymore. And they certainly don't teach social studies and history to the same level. There's a big focus on STEM, which is perfectly fine. I'm a nerd myself. But, at the end of the day, we feel like our site gives a way of empowering our youth to use their mind and understand that there are people that look like them that have done amazing things. And so, we're excited to see the evolution and see the change that has occurred just in the past year or so, and how that has resulted in growth in our own, our own market and people interested in coming to our site and learning about it.
So well said. Ken, a few words as your reflections and thoughts about all your involvement over the years with this?
Oh boy. How many days do we have to talk about this?
I have to say, just as a quick aside, seeing Mo Vaughn brought back some great memories there.
Yes.
Folks really can appreciate that video.
Yes, and since you mentioned Mo Vaughn, right? That was shot at the Mo Vaughn Community Youth Center, which is right at one of the edges of Franklin Park, right by the Franklin Hill housing development. Mo Vaughn was, an athlete who was, high profile, but he, was very serious about using his celebrity and, and using his resources to, to try and make things better. And so, we were very happy to be able to, to have him as sort of the spokesperson for that, yeah. So, and yes, and in that, on that same note, Dale mentioned HBCUs, which for those who may not be familiar with the acronyms, historically Black colleges and universities. In this past political thing, because Vice President Harris is from one of the best known HBCUs, Howard University, that you may have heard, that's where you've heard that term before, if it's not, in your normal language. There's about 104 of them. And the historically Black colleges and universities have produced the majority of the Black doctors and, lawyers, different professionals. Yet, unlike, the Boston universities and MITs, that Dale and I went to, they don't have the big endowments and they don't have sort of things. So one of the things that we are looking forward to do is with sites that we built that aggregate content about HBCU alumni, et cetera, that we engage some of the students coming up to see, hey, here are some things that you can do with technology, and then, hand the keys of the system over to them. In general, whether it's schools, businesses, community organizations, faith organizations, we're looking to be the sort of like the infrastructure that enables our grassroots and our small businesses who can't afford to spend, $100,000 on consultants to do what they do, to stay in their lane, so to say, by letting us stay in our lane, which is technology. That's what we do. We got that covered. We got you on that, and let them do what they do, to push things forward without having to worry about, knowing the technology or, hiring expensive consultants who, in most cases don't really have, no pun intended, skin in the game, as far as really caring about what they're doing. We care. That's why we're still here.
Wow. Unfortunately, we're come to the end of the program. I have to say, this has been incredibly informative, gotten so much more even and a better appreciation to the website now that you've provided this background and sort of your overall game plan and what we can look forward to both now, the recent upgrades, and upcoming, what we can look forward to as well with the expansion. So just have to encourage people to make their way initially to blackfax.com and experience it themselves. And I have to agree, I ended up spending much more time initially than I thought I was going to, because you click on one thing and, as you say, your mind is interested in following up on a related link, a related event, a related person, the videos, just so many number of things we could talk about, interesting quizzes, et cetera, et cetera. A real tribute to both of you, both your backgrounds and your overall mission with this endeavor. So thank you so much. Continued success, and really look forward myself to going back right after we wrap up, I think, today.
Well, thank you for the opportunity.
Yes.
And thank your audience for, for listening, and hopefully they'll learn a little bit more about what we're all about, but also they'll take the time to explore Black facts and discover some things that they may or may not know about Black history, Black news, and Black culture.
And tell somebody, please.
Most definitely, most definitely. Also want to thank those of you watching for joining us, and hope you'll be able to tune in next time. Oh, wow, that